Welcome to Motorsport Coaching, the podcast for racers with racers. Miss Motivate can help get you to the next level. Every episode, she talks to the best racers of today and those that can get you there. She'll help you get better.
Racing News.
At fitness, nutrition, sports psychology, sponsorship, social media, public relations, and media training. Connect with Miss Motivate at motivatetraining.com.au. That's MOTIV8, training.com.au. And now, to help get you to the next level, Miss Motivate herself, Belinda Risley.
So thank you for joining us today, Anthony. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. Awesome to be here. From me, I'm a digital marketer based in Shepparton, Victoria, so regional Australia. And yes, I run a business called Attention Media, which is a digital marketing agency. And we focus on social media marketing in particular. And we love helping regional businesses, regional entrepreneurs. Basically, we love helping anybody, but that's our real focus. So we are all about the digital and social media marketing.
And how did you get into social media marketing? I mean, I know it's big.
Yeah. Look, it was. It's always been something. I've always been pretty techie, and I've always loved, the latest iPhone and all that sort of thing. And when social media first started to come out, back when the days of when Facebook got released to the public. It was also always something that I enjoyed. If people remember MSN Messenger back in the day, like everybody loved that platform.
Yes.
And like from then onwards, I've always enjoyed social media, creating content. It's a great creative platform. But the reason how I started the business was I was working for the family business. This is starting back 10 years ago, and went into that sort of sales and marketing role. And over the years, just kept building on that. So been learning as much as I could and putting as much into practice as I could. And it got to the point where I had people coming to me because of the content that I was putting out. And they were saying, hey, look, we'd love some help with our social media. Can you help us do this, that? We want to grow the business. We want to build our brand. And I said, yeah, sure. And it got to the point where I had clients and I had a business, and it's just grown and grown from there.
Oh, that's fantastic. And do you have a favourite platform for yourself, and why is that?
Personally, right now, my favourite is Instagram, basically because it's a really personal platform, right? It's where you can share bits about yourself, share bits about business. It's very versatile. You've got Instagram stories. You've got direct messages. There's lots happening on the platform. So it's definitely my favourite at the moment.
Fantastic. Well, obviously our athletes, our competitors, have that wonderful joy of having to promote themselves as well as their sponsors. So from a branding point of view, is there a preferred platform you recommend at the moment? Obviously, Facebook's great for engagement. Instagram stories more about behind the athlete and what they do on a day-to-day. But, so first point, is there a preferred platform for branding for athletes? Or
Look, there's not necessarily a preferred platform, and I mean, there may be one in the motorsport industry. Twitter could be very popular inside that motorsport industry because it's very much about, it gets called the water cooler of our society, right? Because Twitter is very back and forth, lots of news, and it's stuff that's happening right now. So you have to remember that you need to try and use each platform to its advantages. Like every platform's different. The way people use Facebook is different to the way people use Instagram. The way people use Instagram is different to the way people use Twitter. So when it's coming to personal brand, you can use every platform to increase your personal brand, but it's more about the types of content and the actions that you take on those different platforms. You need to try and make sure that's suited to each platform and not do the same thing on every platform, because people's psychology is different when they go to Facebook compared to Twitter. So I say every platform is great for building your personal brand, but there's just different ways to go about it depending on the platform.
And so you mentioned that the type of content should be different across the different platforms. Yeah. What kind of content can somebody put out there that is trying to build their brand, their personal brand?
Yeah, perfect. So look, when it comes to building your personal brand, right now, 2018, we need to be just putting out content. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest hurdle for people to get over at the moment, is just putting content out there. It can be time consuming. It can take a lot of work. It's not an easy thing to do. But we're in a space at the moment where these social media platforms are still free to use, and we can put content out there. We can distribute it worldwide. Like it's pretty mind-boggling. And a lot of people my age, millennials, like we've grown up with it, so we sort of take it a little bit for granted. But the fact that we can put content out there, and when it comes to the motorsport industry, the fact that you can put content out in front of the people that you want to put it out in front of, whether it's sponsors, whether it's people that are running events, whether it's people that you want to be coming to different race meetings, like you can really target it. So getting back to the content side of things, again, it depends on the platform. If you are looking to put out, quick little thoughts and snippets from, maybe stuff that's happening in your personal life, in your motorsport career, Twitter might be a great platform in order to do that. If you're looking at creating some video content, then Facebook is a definite platform to put that longer form video content out. And again, as you mentioned before, like with Instagram stories, that's a great way to share behind the scenes of your motorsport journey. So yeah, it's just about putting content out there, being as creative as you can, and just tweaking it slightly to each platform, depending on which one you're going to put it out on.
Fantastic. And do you recommend that the athletes have a different page to their personal page, for example, on Facebook? Do you recommend them having two pages, so one for their personal life and one for their athletic brand? And what's your thought process around that?
Yeah. Look, I would definitely suggest that for a couple of reasons. One, you may want to keep your personal life personal, which is just exactly, that's your prerogative, and that's more having a business page or a career page. That gives you the opportunity to segment those two things. So if you just want to keep your personal Facebook page, for example, friends and family, then you can do that. But you also need to be building your brand, and you can do that on that business page, on that Facebook page. So that gives you the option to segment, but it also gives you the opportunity to really use the analytics and the data and all that techie stuff, which can be used really simply to give you feedback on the types of content that you're putting out, so that you know what's resonating with your audience, what's working best, what people enjoy, what type of people are actually following you and engaging with your content, which you can't get from a personal profile. So using a page is a big win for most of those reasons.
And I heard on a recent Facebook Live that you did that there's a function called Insights. They can all that data. So can you tell our guys a little bit more about that? Sorry.
Definitely. So Facebook Insights is exactly what I was talking about with analytics before. That's where you get all the analytics. So when you go to your Facebook page, you can, up the top of the page, there'll be all the different settings, and one of those tabs says Insights. And if you click on that tab, that then opens up a whole world of different information and data. So it'll tell you, how many people are following your page, where those people are located. It'll tell you, the days and times that they're most likely to be online. So it'll graph it all out for you. And then it'll go into things, all the data from the content that you've put out. So it'll show you how many people each post has reached, the engagement, the number of comments. So there's stacks and stacks of information there, which is really simple and easy. You don't have to be a social media marketer. You don't have to be a really techie person. You can look at this information and straight away you can see what's working and what's not. And you can also see who's engaging with your content, who's following your page, all that really cool information. So rather than just putting content out there and hoping that it sticks, you can really have a deep dive into the analytics and see what works best and then do more of that.
Fantastic. Sorry. Wow, that sounds an awesome tool that we can access at any time. So thanks for that tip, Anne. Just another tip, how do people go about growing their list? Their following?
So, as in their following. Look, basically, again, it comes down to content, right? You have to be putting something out there for people to be interested in following you. So content is the biggest thing. Consistency as well with your content is another important thing, because the way the algorithms work these days, and by algorithm, that's the brains behind the social media platforms that decide which posts are going to be shown in the newsfeed. And the way to make them happy and get more of your content seen by people is to be consistent with your posting. There's a few reasons for that. When you, let's say, for example, you're going to post to Facebook on a daily basis, when you do that and people start engaging with your content, so they start hitting that like button, they start leaving you some comments, what that does is tells the algorithm that people like this content, they like that post, but it also tells them that your page, your Facebook page, is active and somebody's there, somebody's putting out content on a regular basis, and that means that they're going to show your content to more people more often. If, for example, you were just going to post once a week, then there's going to be less engagement, there's going to be less comments, and that tells Facebook that there's not a lot happening and that your content isn't as important or it isn't a priority. So you're not going to be seen as often. So when you go and you hit that publish button, you could have crickets if you're not posting consistently. And often people get discouraged. They're like, oh, I put a post out and, it only got like 3 views or I only got 1 like. But it's very much about being consistent and putting out as much content as you can, because it just snowballs. Everything picks up. It's like, for example, if you were watching your favorite TV program and they only put out 1 show a year, well, it wouldn't be your favorite TV show because there's only 1 episode, and once you've watched that, it's gone.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same with your Facebook page. If you've got multiple pieces of content, if you've got multiple episodes going out, there's lots for people to come back and consume. And that's when you'll get a bigger following, you'll get more likes, you get more engagement, and it all snowballs from there.
So you're talking about consistency. Is there a general rule of thumb how often that consistency is on each platform? So let's say for Facebook.
Yeah, look, there's so much information out there. Everybody's got a different point of view. So while there are some best practices, it really does come down to you testing and measuring with your own social media, because everybody's business is different, everybody's content is different, everybody's followers are different. But general best practice is you want to be making sure that you're trying to put out a post a day on Facebook. That's the general best practice at the moment, at least 1 post a day. And again, a little quick tip, with the insights on Facebook, if you go to that insights tab, you can see a timeline on when the most people are active on your Facebook page or online, so they're most likely to see it. So if you're going to post once a day on Facebook, try and post at that time when the most people are online, because you're more likely to get that content in front of more people.
Fantastic.
So that's a little tip for Facebook. On Instagram, again, 1 post a day. Some people do more than that. Some people do 2, some people do 3, some people do 4. But again, it's about testing and measuring. But if you have that consistency of 1 post a day, that's going to allow you to build that following, make sure that you've got plenty of fresh new content out there for people to consume. If we want to look at Twitter, that's a whole separate beast, right? So Twitter, you can be posting 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day. Some people even suggest you should be posting on Twitter up to 15 times a day.
Oh, really?
Now, before you freak out, because I know, how am I going to post to Twitter 15 times a day? I'm never going to have any time for practice. Look, it's just about doing as much as you can. So it's doing the best you can with the time you've got. But again, if you're being consistent on Twitter and you're putting out 1 or 2 tweets a day, then that's as much as you need, right? And there's lots of other things that go with social media. It's not just about the posting to build that following or to get your content in front of the right people. So yeah, Facebook once a day, Instagram once a day, do as many stories as you can. People love stories. And Twitter a couple of times a day as well. The thing with Twitter, the reason why, I'll add some context to this, the reason why you can post many more times on Twitter is because the algorithm's different on Twitter. And your post doesn't stay in the Twitter feed as long because there's such a volume of posts. So every second there's hundreds and hundreds of posts being sent on Twitter. And that means that within 15 minutes, your post has dropped so low in the news feed that it's going to be hard for people to come across. So if you're consistently putting a post up, every couple of hours, then you've got fresh content there every time people go to their phone. So that's a little tip too.
Thanks for that. And now you mentioned the word algorithm. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that there's a can of worms about to be opened here, but how can people stay on top of the forever changing algorithm in all of social media?
Yeah, sure. Look, there's lots of different ways. And again, it's about not getting too stressed about, the algorithm changes, right? Lots of people, they freak out because something changes and, that might change, the amount of engagement or whatever they're getting on there, or they might not be able to keep up with all the changes. There's lots of websites. There's lots of podcasts. I'll give you a couple of my favorite, which really help me stay on top of all these changes. So a great website to keep in touch is Social Media Today. So you can literally search Social Media Today and that'll come up with their website. They're constantly posting all the latest and greatest in social media. So if you want to jump on a website, they will always keep you updated. If you want to listen to a podcast, the Social Media Marketing Podcast is a great one to listen to because, again, they're always new episodes are being released all the time, and it's always something to do with the latest updates around social media. And the third thing is literally just to stay involved with your social media accounts, right? Keep testing, keep measuring, keep looking at how things are working, and keep playing around. You've got to be involved in the platform to know what's going on. And they're probably the 3 tips that I'd put out there.
Fantastic. Thanks for those. And now moving back in line with some content and what can people actually post, do you have some recommendations on what they can post on, obviously, on those weeks when they aren't racing?
Yeah, look, the thing that I always say with social media is that, people go online to, either be educated, to be entertained, or just to blow off some time, basically. So you want to try and create content that, speaks to those different mindsets. So you can put out content that might be educational. So you might be putting out, the things that you've learnt in motorsport over the last week. Or you could put out some content that's entertaining. So you might, put up some content from your latest race, or you might have been out with some friends and been recording some stuff, and you can put that out. So it really is about putting stuff out when it comes to personal brand that is about you. It doesn't have to be personal as in your personal life, but you have that motorsport career, you have that passion for driving. So put out content around that, because that's the things that you like, that's the things that you love to do. And when you put out content about that stuff, it's really authentic, and people engage with authentic content. We can all smell when somebody's, putting on a front or, faking things, but there's loads and loads of people out there who love motorsport, right? You guys know that. And there's loads and loads of people out there who are thinking about motorsport, and, they love consuming all that content. So if you're putting out content around your passion, other people love that stuff, they're going to consume that. So be you, and basically online, show people what you love to do, give them some value, give them some behind the scenes, and in no time, you'll be building a big following.
And how do you recommend they do that, Anthony? Are you suggesting videos all the time, or is it great to have a good mix of videos and text? We always hear that video is best, but Is it always best?
Look, no, it's not always best, because, again, it depends on the platform, right? And it depends who your audience is, and it depends what you're trying to achieve with your content. So let's keep it really, really simple. Generally, it's good to have like a good mix, okay? We want video. Video works really well. Because, again, that algorithm loves video content. So they are going to give you more reach. They're going to show more people your content if it is a video, as opposed to a plain text or an image, specifically on Facebook. When it comes to Twitter is a very fast-paced environment. So just your normal Twitter update and adding an image. Images are statistically shown to get more engagement and more reach with each tweet. So again, Twitter's about fast-paced, and it's a fast-paced environment. So just your normal tweet, but if you can whack in an image or a photo as well, that'll give you an extra boost. When it comes to Instagram, currently they say, and we just have to take this for granted, or you can do some testing yourself, but they say that when you post to your newsfeed, there's currently no preference over images or video. So whereas Facebook loves video more, Instagram is exactly the same. So whether you're putting up some short snippets of video on Instagram or just images, you don't have to get too stressed about which one is going to perform better, because they're equal at this stage. But I always say that it depends what you're trying to, the message you're trying to convey with your audience. if it has to be video, if you want to show people something where, that visual aspect, that if you want to show them things, then go for it. If it's more of an update, quick conversational piece, then keep it to text and maybe throw in an image.
And along the lines of the video content, is there restrictions or recommendations to how long each video should be, again, on each of the platforms?
Yeah, definitely. And again, like you can Google these things really simply. If you just Google Facebook video lengths, it'll come up with a list of all the different data points that you need for your video. Video on Facebook, you can pretty much have anything as long as you like. I think you can put up to 4 hours on a video on Facebook. Yeah. So you can have this massive upload. So don't stress about that on Facebook. On Instagram, it's a little bit different. So stories are 15 seconds, but normally you're just going to record that on your phone. But if you're uploading a video to Instagram to your feed, they have a cap of 60 seconds. So it has to be under 60 seconds in order for that video to go on your feed. And Twitter, I should know. I think it's 10 minutes for Twitter, a video. Yeah. And it's 10 minutes for LinkedIn. We haven't mentioned LinkedIn yet, but I know it's 10 minutes for LinkedIn as well. So they are basically, the different formats for video.
Mm-hmm. And what about the big thing around hashtags? What are hashtags and what?
Oh, hashtags. Hashtags.
They play in promotion and social media.
Cool. So hashtags. Now we could spend a day talking about hashtags. Easy. I'll try and keep it nice and simple for you. So currently, hashtags is how people find content the most when it comes to Instagram, right? That's why we add those hashtags in, because people will search for hashtag motorsport and that'll bring up a whole feed of images that have that hashtag, okay? So that's how people outside of your friends and family, outside of the people that already follow you, that's how people will generally come across your content, by searching for that hashtag. Now, you can add up to 30 hashtags per post on Instagram. Some people say you should do a few less than that so people can add their own hashtags in the comments, because once you've added 30 hashtags, that's it. You can't fit any more in that post. But again, it's about testing and measuring. With the latest Instagram algorithm, people have said that, they've found that anywhere between 10 to 11 hashtags is the best amount for reach and engagement. So really it is about just trying it for yourself. The other thing that came up in the Instagram algorithm was that people had often been putting their hashtags in the comment below their caption on their post to keep it nice and neat, which all the social media platforms want everything to look good and be a great user experience. So instead of having a whack of hashtags in the caption, people have been putting them in the comments below. But with all the spam and the bots and all that sort of thing that goes on, the latest Instagram algorithm, they had mentioned that hashtags should go back in your caption, because when people just post a whole comment that's just hashtags, it looks really spammy and they didn't like that either. So I've been testing and measuring a few different things, and I haven't found a huge difference in putting the comments, the hashtags in the comment section as opposed to the captions. But again, it's just about testing and trying. So don't stress too much. Have a go, see what works, see what doesn't. But they're the general rules for hashtags.
So you've said that's for Instagram. Do you still put hashtags with Facebook and Twitter?
So Twitter, yes, definitely. You'd generally want to use a lot less. So anywhere sort of between 2 and 3 hashtags on Twitter is the best practice. When it comes to Facebook, you don't need hashtags whatsoever, because Facebook actually makes every word on Facebook searchable. So you actually don't need the hashtag symbol in front of, let's say we're going to talk motorsport. So instead of having hashtag motorsport, that word motorsport is searchable on Facebook. And a reason that Facebook does that is because they want everything to look clean and crisp, and they don't want people to be stacking their posts full of hashtags because it can look pretty messy. So don't stress out about hashtags on Facebook. Everything is searchable.
All right. And to finish off our conversation today, Anth, I'd love to talk a little bit more about LinkedIn. We haven't touched base on LinkedIn.
Yeah, awesome.
Obviously, it's a great platform for B2B as well as B2C marketplace. So with people trying to obtain sponsorship, I see LinkedIn being a very valuable platform to get on, but a lot of people aren't. And so I'm not sure if it's just because of lack of knowledge or awareness about the advantages of LinkedIn and the benefits that they can actually provide people seeking sponsorship. So if you could tell us a little bit more about LinkedIn and the advantages, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, sure. So LinkedIn has always, it started as a very professional, it was called the business person, or the professional social media network, right? And it was set up very much like a resume would be. It's where you put all the information about your career, where you worked, and it's always been that way. But in recent years, LinkedIn was bought by Microsoft, and they've had lots of massive changes go on. And they've really opened up the algorithm, which means that you're getting lots of reach and lots of engagement a lot easier than, say, you do on Facebook. So now is definitely a time to get involved with LinkedIn because you're going to get more for less. When it comes to the types of content on LinkedIn, again, because it is more of that professional network, it is a great space, as you mentioned, for people to get content in front of people who could become potential sponsors. And where it's different with Instagram, where you might be showing a bit more personal stuff, a bit more behind the scenes, your LinkedIn profile is where you can really build out that professional side of motorsport racing. You can still share all that behind the scenes content, but that's where you can really make yourself stand out and look good and look professional with LinkedIn. So making sure that your bio's all up to date, making sure that you've got a nice clean image up there, and again, posting regular content when you can, because when people are looking for motorsport competitors to sponsor, that LinkedIn profile can become a really good asset for you in gaining that sponsorship, because that's basically your professional resume online.
And again, with LinkedIn, you're stating about regular content. Is that once a day again, or is that more like a Twitter feed because of the amount of traffic going through LinkedIn?
Sure. No, look, at this stage, one post a day. You can do more. Like it's not a hard and fast rule, but we don't want to overwhelm people. So sticking to one post a day is definitely enough to get you going on LinkedIn and get that content out in front of the right people. And like just a quick note with social media, like just putting content out is one part of it. You also need to remember to be social on social in order to get that extra benefit. So what I mean by that is jumping into other people's accounts and commenting on their content as well, because you want to be getting out there. It's like being at a party and standing in a corner and talking about yourself the whole night. You're going to find that everybody else is going to migrate to the other side of the room. If you're involved in the conversation, if you're talking to other people, asking them questions, finding out what they've been up to, you're going to be involved in the party. You're going to be the life of the party. So it's exactly the same online. Make sure that you're engaging with other people's content. And if we're talking about LinkedIn, there's no better place to get in front of potential sponsors than by searching them online, following them on LinkedIn, engaging with their content, and just being out there, because you've got to be seen. So it's a really good way to get in front of the right people.
Completely agree with that one. Thanks for those great tips, Anth. I was going to say, is there any more resources? But you've given us so many resources and tips and everything else today. So I guess the important thing is, where can people get in contact with yourself at Attention Media?
Awesome. If you would like to get in touch with me at Attention Media, email anthony@attentionmedia.com.au, or jump over to my Instagram account, which is Anthony G. Murphy. Love to connect. And if you've got any questions, I'm always happy to help.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Attention Media and what services you actually can provide?
Yeah, awesome. So Attention Media, as I mentioned before, our slogan is helping regional businesses become iconic brands. And that word business, if you're a motorsport competitor and you're building a career, like that is your business, right? So it's not about, brick and mortar buildings, people sitting behind desks. But the reason that we love helping regional businesses is because I live in regional Victoria, and we want to see business flourish. I've got a young family now, and I want my kids to be able to grow up in the country. I want there to be lots of shops. I want there to be big schools. I want there to be thriving businesses. So, this is my way of being able to help in that space by helping businesses grow, by helping entrepreneurs grow, by people who are helping people who are wanting to build their personal brand. So that's the main reason for building Attention Media. And it's all about social media. It's all about putting content out there. It's all about, telling your story. It's all about helping you and businesses share the value that you've got to offer. And we love helping people at the end of the day. It's awesome. We love business. We love helping people. We love talking to people. We love connecting with people. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
And don't be biased now, Ant. You do have your own podcast as well.
Do I? Oh, awesome.
Plug your own podcast here. Shameless
plug time, guys. So my podcast is called Open for Business. You can find that on iTunes, Stitcher. It's on my YouTube channel as well, and soon to come to Spotify.
Yay.
My podcast has gone through a couple of iterations, but it's been very much based around interviewing young entrepreneurs, young business people in Australia, and we're also now throwing in plenty of digital marketing and social media. So if you love listening to people talk about how they started a business, if you love talking about social media, then that may be a podcast for you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for your time today, Anthony. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having us.
Hopefully we'll have you again on the show.
That'd be awesome.
Thanks. Bye.
Get ready for the race.
Do you feel one step closer to being the next superstar behind the wheel? MotivateTraining.com.au for more. MOTIV8training.com.au.
The green flag.
Every episode gets you one step closer to the checkered flag. The Motorsport Coaching Podcast, getting you to the checkered flag faster.